I wish someone had told me early on that the world doesn't run on logic, it runs on emotion, especially when it comes to women. I walked into relationships thinking effort was everything, that if I just proved how deeply I cared, how loyal I was, how much I was willing to give, then that would be enough. But it never was, and I couldn't figure out why. I did everything right: flowers, compliments, support. I listened, I stayed, I showed up, but time and time again, I watched them drift toward men who did none of that. The guys who didn't chase, didn't explain, didn't even seem to care. I thought something was wrong with me. Maybe I wasn't good enough. But what I didn't understand back then is that women aren't measuring you with a checklist. They're feeling you. And effort doesn't create feeling, energy does. Presence does. You could write her love letters and still be outshined by a guy who barely speaks but moves with confidence. Because women don't want to be impressed, they want to be felt. They crave energy that shakes something inside them. It's not about being loud or flashy. It's about being centered, calm, grounded, the guy who walks into a room and doesn't need. Validation captures more attention than the one who tries to earn it. That's the part one missed. I was performing love instead of embodying it. I thought, if I gave enough, she'd finally see me. But all I did was disappear because performance feels desperate. Presence feels powerful. If I had known that then, I would have saved years of chasing women who were never drawn to my logic. They were chasing the feeling I hadn't learned to carry yet. And until you learn that, love will always feel just out of reach. No one warned me that attention is her addiction and most men are just the dealers. We give it away freely, thinking it's love, thinking it shows care. But to her, it becomes fuel, another hit of validation, another spark to keep the fire burning inside her that even she can't control. And the moment that attention becomes predictable, consistent, expected, it loses its power. That's when your warmth starts to feel cold. That's when she starts pulling away and you're left confused, wondering what you did wrong. But the truth is, you didn't do anything. You just became familiar. And in her world, familiarity is the beginning of emotional boredom. What I didn't understand is that when a woman gets used to your validation, she stops valuing it. She craves the feeling of being wanted, not the constant assurance. That's why some women chase chaos, because chaos gives them the high they've become addicted to. I used to respond to every mood swing, every distant glance, every silence like a firefighter with a hose rushing to fix, to soothe, to explain. But all I was doing was failing her test. Because that's what most of it is testing, not consciously, but emotionally. She wants to know if you'll bend, if you'll fold, if you'll abandon your center just to calm her storm. Every time I did, I lost a little more of her respect. Not because I was weak, but because I wasn't grounded. She didn't need a man who reacts. She needed a man who holds frame. I wish I knew that earlier. Because if I had, I would have stopped trying to prove my value through emotional chasing. I would have stopped responding to her chaos and started leading through it. That's what she really wants, not attention. Not validation, but a man who doesn't flinch. Nobody told me that no woman is truly yours. She's only with you as long as the experience you offer outshines the story in her imagination. I used to think relationships were about permanence, that once she chose you, she'd stay no matter what, as long as you kept being good to her, loyal to her, present for her. But emotions don't work that way. She's not anchored to you. She's anchored to how you make her feel. And if that feeling fades, so does her loyalty, not because she's evil, because she's emotional. Women are constantly comparing what they feel now to what they could feel. That's why emotional presence matters more than logical consistency. You could be steady, available, generous, and still be replaced by someone unpredictable, mysterious, or emotionally stimulating. Because her imagination will always win if your reality doesn't evolve. I used to think being the nice guy was the answer. I thought understanding her, being her safe space, listening deeply, that was the way in. But I became her comfort, not her craving. Kindness without boundaries turned me into background noise. I was dependable but never desired. And what I didn't realize is that every time I tolerated disrespect, gave second chances without change, or stayed silent when I should have stood up, I was training her to stop respecting me. Women don't fall out of love because you weren't nice enough. They fall out because you weren't strong enough. Not physically, emotionally. She wants to feel your edge, your limits, your refusal to bend just to keep her. I didn't protect my standards, so she stopped trusting my strength. What she needed wasn't a therapist. She needed a man who could lead without asking permission. That's what I wasn't yet. But I learned. Late, but I learned that in my 20s I mistook leadership for control, so I avoided it. I didn't want to be the guy who dominated, who made all the decisions, who ran the show. I thought the right move was to ask, to include, to constantly check in. I thought being flexible made me a better partner. But all I did was create confusion. What I failed to see was that women don't want to lead, even the ones who say they do. In moments of stress, doubt, or emotional overload, she doesn't want to be in charge. She wants to feel safe enough to surrender. That safety doesn't come from asking her what the plan is, it comes from being the plan. She wants a man who moves with clarity, who doesn't hesitate, who knows where he's going and doesn't need permission to lead. When I didn't provide, that the relationship always felt unsteady. She didn't know where we were headed because I didn't either. I also didn't understand how attraction actually works. I thought keeping her comfortable would keep her close. But attraction isn't born in comfort, it grows in tension. That slight emotional distance, that air of mystery, that masculine edge that doesn't bend to every mood she throws, that's what keeps her engaged. I used to kill that tension with over-availability. I thought consistency was king, but she didn't want predictability. She wanted polarity. I made the mistake of trying to fix every emotional shift, chasing after her. Whenever she pulled away, thinking more closeness would fix the distance. But it never did. Because when a woman pulls away, you don't chase, you anchor. Let her tides come and go. Stay grounded. That's when she feels your depth. That's when she feels safe to return. Leadership isn't control. It's stability. It's presence. And it's what she's actually craving. I used to think being needed meant being loved. That if a woman depended on me emotionally, financially, mentally, it meant we had something real. But I confused her reliance with intimacy. I wasn't her desire, I was her crutch. And the moment she no longer needed me, she disappeared. That's when it hit me. Being useful is not the same as being wanted. Women don't crave the man who solves all their problems. They crave the man who sparks something inside them. And if that spark isn't there, all the support in the world won't keep her. I also thought loyalty meant staying no matter what. But I didn't realize women are loyal to their emotions, not to the man. If she no longer feels seen, felt, or desired, her heart will start to drift even if she doesn't say it out loud. And unless she's deeply self-aware, she follows those feelings without warning. I made the mistake of thinking sex always meant connection, that it confirmed love or emotional depth. But for many women, sex is about the moment, not the future. Curiosity, chemistry, escape, those can all fuel intimacy without commitment. I learned not to attach my worth to the bedroom because not every moment shared under the sheets is a promise. I also learned that silence is never just silence. When she grows quiet, emotionally distant, or cold, it's a message. It's her way of detaching without the confrontation. If I had paid attention to that silence, I would have seen the end long before it arrived. I wouldn't have pedestalized her, revealed too much too soon, or ignored the patterns she showed. Me from the start, now I know, walking away isn't weakness. It's self-respect. And the goal was never to be loved by all women, just to be respected by the right one.